Hi, I'm Mac McCarthy, and I help people with their breakups, relationship issues, limited beliefs. Go to writemac.com if you want to book a session. Let's get into it. No contact in the hero's journey. A lot of people are going through no contact right now. They're going through a bad breakup. They're going through a time when they want to call their ex. I've been doing this for 5 years. I've been doing it for a while, and these things come up again and again. Okay, so it never gets easier when you're detaching from a girlfriend, boyfriend, or partner. Okay. Now, the best breakup story is really when years later, months later, you can connect all the dots and go, I made the right choice. This was the best thing for me. And even if when it wasn't your choice, what's the alternative? You're going to beg and plead to be with someone that doesn't want to be with you. Or I'm going to just be honest. A lot of people are a little bit defected these days. They have some mental challenges. There's some issues there. Back in the day, a lot of people were more similar. What do I mean by that? You grew up in the same community. You had the same religion. You wore the same clothes. Your families knew each other. That wasn't too long ago, before there was airplanes and the internet, right? So now we have a lot of people that are discombobulated mentally. They're in 15 different directions, let alone being in a relationship, okay? So the best breakup story is when it's behind you, but you also just look back and you go, you know what? That had to happen. I was just talking to a client today. He's about 10 months out of a breakup, and he's still feeling all these things, right? And it sometimes takes more time than others, okay? I once had a roommate that told me when I had a bad haircut, a really bad haircut. He goes, what's the difference between a bad haircut now? He goes, 2 weeks. What's the difference between a bad breakup and now? Could be 1 year or 2 years, right? Could easily be that. Hear the kids in the background? Got some crazy neighbors right now. Patience is a virtue. But here's the crazy part. When you look at what happened because you got out of the relationship, okay? And that doesn't mean it was your choice. They pushed you away. You were trying to make things work. They broke up with you. They don't love you anymore. They don't care about you, whatever. But you were able to accept it. There's a lot of value in that. There's a lot of grit in that. And when you can accept it, and then you look back and you go, that was the best thing I could have ever done. Because the alternative would have been what? Staying in a relationship where you're a doormat, where you're becoming someone for them. And this is really what it does. A bad breakup puts you in the mirror and forces you to take inventory of your own life. And it's a beautiful thing once you embrace that. Because actually, it's really the best time to improve yourself. And when you're doing this, you don't realize you're doing it. But this is what you do. You start going through and make an honest self-assessment. I've made a video on this before. Number one would be, how's your finances? In this day and age, it's an issue. It's an issue in relationships. How's your individual finances? Be honest with yourself. Are you in debt? Are you at a job where you can't see any growth? It's one thing to be at a job that's kind of chill, cool, but you really don't see yourself making a higher salary or moving up. You got to take some inventory of that. Okay. So number one would be, how's your finances? Okay. Now, if they're golden and great, good. Put that one to the side. Number two, career outlook. This isn't just your job. This is what you want to do long term. Do you have an idea of how that would map out? Right? I want to do what I'm doing long-term, coaching, hypnotherapy, helping people with their issues, breakups, limited beliefs. I can do this for a long period of time. I can build a clientele from it. I can grow through it. I control a lot of it also. Number three, dreams and goals check. Now, a lot of people get into like, I've always wanted a Ferrari. I've always wanted a house. Get very specific on that. Okay? Take a look at that. And make sure they're your dreams you've had since you were a kid, dreams and goals that you really want, not dreams and goals your parents, your friends, or family want for you. That's different. I just had a client recently She's going through a real issue right now. She's getting married. She's moving to a new country, and her parents are pressing her. She's in her mid-20s, and they had a plan for her. She was going to work this teaching job for years, a government teaching job. What I mean by that is within the school system, and that's what her mom did, and that's what her mom believed she was going to do, and now she's taking a totally different turn, and it was like she was doing all those things, but it really wasn't her dream. It really wasn't her goal. It was just her being influenced by her parents. That's totally different. This is a time when you're in breakup, you're in ground zero, you take an assessment of that. Number 4, what are your strengths? Are you using them? What are you good at? What do people tell you you're good at? How's your health? People ignore this all the time. Oh, you know what? I don't really care about that. I'll tell you what, it's knocking on the door. It's always knocking on the door. When you get single, it's the best time to take a look at your health because you look better when you're healthy. And when you're healthy and you look better, you attract more, right? Number 6, how's your camaraderie? I like the word camaraderie because it's different than, oh, your friends and family and different. Camaraderie is joy when you hang out with your friends or family, colleagues. And a lot of us are lacking that. The world's changed now that we're on the internet. We used to play sports a lot more. People used to go outside more. What's your camaraderie at in your life? How can you create more of that? Number 7, how in touch are you with internal feelings? Now, this is something I haven't talked about a lot, but I've witnessed it doing hypnotherapy, doing more EFT, emotional freedom technique. And I've noticed a lot of people are extremely attached to the external world and what they have. So, for example, if I was to ask someone, what are you thankful for? A lot of people would say, oh, my car, my house, my TV. These are external material items that don't really hold as much value as you think. But if you ask yourself to close your eyes and feel through some issues, feel through some stories you're telling yourself, feel through some relationships that you have that you're not happy with, it's going to feel different. That's why I do hypnotherapy. Totally different. Okay? How in touch are you with your internal feelings? And if you look back at your life, there's moments in your relationship where something happened, you didn't say anything, but you felt like it's not going to happen that way. That doesn't feel good. And I'm not just talking about someone calling you a name. I'm talking about something that everyone else thinks is a positive. I'm talking about when your wife gets a promotion at a job as a paralegal for a divorce attorney. And you're like, oh, everyone's like, oh, this is great. She's going to make a ton of money. But really, she's dealing with divorces every day. That probably will affect your relationship. And the lawyer she works for is a real jerk, but they make a lot of money. You might tell everyone, oh, well, everyone's like, well, you're going to be able to buy this house. You're going to be able to buy this car. But deep down, you're going to want to hear about her day where she talks about divorces all the time. Think about that for a minute. Think about that. And you felt that, but you didn't say anything. I'm going to pull up right now, really quick, the hero's journey. If people aren't familiar with the hero's journey, I used to teach this or introduce it to students in creative writing class. It is basically what is used. Let me see how this shows up in most movies. Well, that's pretty small, isn't it? Let me see if I can get you something better here. Excuse me for a moment. And once you learn this and you look at it, and you really, it's pretty simplistic. When you look at it, and you can just put in hero's journey on Wikipedia and a bunch of stuff will show up. That's much better, I think. Yeah. Let's see if we can get the whole screen here. So you got the call to adventure. This is basically the storyline for most movies. Star Wars does this. Apocalypto does this. So the call to adventure is the breakup, the losing your job, someone asking you to take a promotion that you're scared of. Okay. Number 2, there's a supernatural aid or something happens And sometimes this will happen to people in a breakup or when they lose a loved one, something spiritual will happen. Okay. Threshold or guardian. This is where the problem gets worse. This is where you start to tear up and be upset and be a little scared. This is beginning of the transformation. Then you meet a mentor or helper. In a lot of cases, I'm that person for clients. This is also could be a teacher, it could be a grandfather. You have a call to adventure or a problem. A lot of times it's a problem. Okay. And then you're challenged. You're challenged and you have temptations. Temptations could be drugs and alcohol. It could be an easy way out. It could be moving to a cave. The challenges have to be overcome. You see this in all movies. Okay. Movies follow this. So, for example, if anyone's ever seen the movie Apocalypto, it starts with everyone's normal, all village life is fine, and then their village gets raided. One of the leaders in the village had to put his wife in a well and hide her, and then he needs to leave. And then he's constantly challenged. He meets a spiritual mentor. And then right at the center part is the part where there's a revelation or a resurrection. There's a part where you're facing death, where you're on the ground, where you got to get up. And in movies, this is where the person's being held at gunpoint or they can jump in the water, jump in a waterfall. A lot of Harrison Ford movies are like this. There's a part here where you're facing the harshest part and you got to make a decision to live, move on, and fight. And this happens in breakups, right? There's a point where you get to the breakup and you're like, what am I going to do about this? I'm tired of this. I had it in a bad breakup before. I'm like, I'm just sick of this. I was just sprinting down the street, up and down my block with music. Fuck this. I'm overcoming it. Then there's the transformation where you start to come up the other side. You start to get back on deck. You feel better. You look better. You talk better. And then there's an atonement where you start to feel right. And then there's the return. There's the return back home. There's the return back to who you were or better. A lot of cases, you're better than who you were, but you come back home. You come back to the place, or you might even run into your ex in this case, and you're just okay with a soft smile. How you been, hun? How are things going? Okay. Now, a lot of people, like I said, the hero's journey can relate to most things in your life. If you've lost the dream job you always wanted, if you squandered an inheritance. I had a client that did that. But the call to adventure is the part where you're a little bit scared, but you start the journey, you start the move. And then once you go, people start to help you out. And people forget about this, that a lot of times what you don't know is that you need to ask for help. And it's a privilege when other people can help you. So you're in a bad place. You don't want to share all your stuff, your demons. You don't want to be vulnerable. We just had Rochelle on, who has a YouTube channel. She came on the live stream, I believe it was 2 days ago. Yes, 2 days ago. And she divulged some stuff that was some heavy stuff. Like I said, before you come on the live stream, just know that this is going to be shared, right? She's like, no, it's fine. I'm just not going to show my face. I'm not camera ready. No problem, hun. Talked about some things. She asked for my help, my opinion. That's a privilege on my part. I also feel good about that. I feel good about helping her. It's reciprocal. And so what a lot of people get caught in when they're in a breakup, if you're stubborn, now there's a sweet spot in this when you have problems of not becoming a full-time victim. And I'm not saying you can't cry or you can't be upset. There's a time for that. But not going around in what I call blowing the whistle. Oh, I was with a narcissist. He did this. She did that. He did this. She did that. Air it out. Go for it. Don't make it 2 or 3 months of blowing the whistle. There's only so much of that you can do. Or oh, I was so wrong. You got to get to a point where you're like, I need to seek some help here because I'm on a brick wall right now. And I've had clients, I don't know, I'm grasping for straws here. Someone just sent me a message. Let's talk about it. Book a live coaching session. Let's get into it. Let me ask you some questions. Let's get deeper. Because all I need to do in the coaching session, I don't need to change your life. I don't need to tell you how wonderful you are. I don't need to say you're the most outstanding person in the world, that you're beautiful or you're handsome. I don't need to do any of that. What I need to do is just ask you questions about your situation so you can come to realizations and change your perception and just change the direction you're headed. So you have a little bit of positive, a little bit of clarity, and a little bit of acceptance. Let me rewind that. A lot of acceptance. Hey, this happened. She left me. She doesn't want to be with me. You don't need to add extra sauce to that. Oh, yeah, she's with some loser, all this other stuff. You need to get on your ship that you're directing and go, where do I want to head? What island do I want to go to? What continent do I want to visit? Right? And sometimes you need to talk to someone because your mind, it's laser focused on your problems. And what happens is you lose sight of all your resources. And the reality is you have way more resources than you ever would know. Years back, I bet some of the people on right now, Skinner, Rob IS, Sam Lujan, Sabina, welcome, pleasure to have you. Thank you. Thing is, there used to be this guy who was an infomercial, and this was 20 years back, and he used to sell this giant book, and it was all the ways you could get free money from the U.S. government for different businesses, different scholarships, and it was like 500 pages. It was huge, and he used to wear a suit that had all these question marks on it, almost looked like Jim Carrey's suit. And he was interviewed years later because this was one of those infomercials that was on for years. By the way, Tony Robbins was an infomercial for 10 years. And the stuff was real. Now, here's the part where it's going to get interesting, right? These were real scholarships and things that were being offered by the U.S. government that people just didn't know about. By the way, this guy's infomercials were before the internet, I believe. Okay. So he's being interviewed. I don't know where the YouTube video is or how to find him. But he said this was all public knowledge. He basically copied all these scholarships and business grants that the U.S. government was offering and put them in a book. But it was public knowledge. He just dug it out. Now, someone's like, well, he just sold free knowledge. What he did is he structured it and presented it to people. But the reality was, he was saying in the YouTube video, all this was not special knowledge. But here's what I'm telling you right now. One of our biggest problems, myself included in the past, is when you're hell-bent against the wall, when you're upset, when you're down and out, when you're just pissed off, you don't realize the resources you have. You don't. Now look at if you're on a deserted island, like the Tom Hanks movie, right? You're going to find a way to get water. You're going to find a way to kill fish. I mean, the list goes on, or else you die. So your mind stops going, oh, I'm on an island. Oh, I'm on an island. There's no one here. You probably do that for the first day. You probably get depressed. You probably get lonely. But at some point, you're going to find out what your resources are. You're going to find out what your abilities are, right? And the same thing happens when you start looking in the mirror out of a breakup, out of losing a job, out of being down and out. And you go, what do I have to work with here? What are my opportunities? It's like David Goggins, if anyone's ever followed him, the Navy SEAL. He talks about your classic, and these are hero's journey stories, by the way. He was on a couch, or he was massively overweight, and he was a bug killer, right? An exterminator. One of the worst jobs I would think to do. He's down and out, and he sees a video on he sees some show on Navy SEALs. Now, someone's like, well, I can't become a Navy SEAL. Doesn't cost you any money. Doesn't cost you any money. Right? Takes a lot of balls, heart, and grit, and he might fail. But to sign up for the Navy SEALs, last time to sign up for the military, it don't cost you any money. That's a resource everyone has in their early 20s if they're down and out. I don't know if everyone wants to do it. Everyone has a different experience. But when you get down to it, you got way more resources and opportunities. And what I've noticed about people that do really well in business, do really well in life, they're extremely resourceful. Extremely resourceful. And that doesn't mean desperate. They're solution-based and they're resourceful. If everyone took an inventory of who's the best person to talk to when I'm down and out, they'd probably come up with someone that's maybe not their best friend or their direct relative that they usually go to, right? Or they probably wouldn't go, you know what? Maybe I should find a therapist or a coach online and see if I can work with someone. That's available to a lot of people. Now, here's the interesting thing. People that are dug in on being a victim or just not wanting to do something, the gym's a great example. I have friends They have tons of money. They sign up for a 1-year gym membership every year for the best gym, and they would be better off doing a 1-year personal trainer that would at least kicked their ass and they had to sign up and answer to. That's a resource they can commit to. But you know what they would say? Oh, it's too expensive. The reality is they're just finding an excuse to do something they don't want to do. Everyone does it. I go hiking here in Thailand 3 or 4 times a week. It's beautiful. It's one of the most privileged things I do here. Okay? I love it. I offer friends to go all the time. I'm like, you want to go up there? A lot of them are out of shape. First thing, oh, is there snakes? Is there snakes? I'm like, yeah, but the trail's partially cement and rock, and snakes don't really attack you. You'd have to walk in the bush. I'm not going if there's snakes, man. I'm out. It's like, no, you don't really want to go because you're out of shape. If you want to tell me that because you don't want to deal with the huffing and puffing, fine. But really, are you that scared of snakes? Have you heard of snakes attacking people? You have to step on them, right? I'm telling you, I've been up there 500 times, and yeah, you see some sometimes, but they're not on the trail or attacking people, okay? So people will find what they want. When you get resourceful and when you get solution-based, it's a great thing. Because all of a sudden you just open up. And there's people that are just naturally like this. They're usually highly successful, and they're annoying as fuck to people that are negative. Because you always got an answer. Well, you could do this, right? It's like, honestly, when I get people that come to me for coaching and I'm giving you, like I said, I like to do, hey, here's your options. Right? Number 1, you can go no contact. Number 2, you can call her up one last time and tell her, hey, look, let's get dinner. I want to talk about this. And if she says no, you say okay and accept it and let it go, and then go into no contact. Or number 3, you tell me what's a better alternative. So now I've just given you an opportunity, because some people out there are like, I just like to come up with my own stuff. I don't like to follow anyone's advice. That's a personality characteristic. You know people like that. You could tell them how to tie their shoes, and you've been doing it that way for years, and they're like, nope, I do it differently. Okay? So learning people, and someone was asking me this yesterday, that Rochelle lady, about coach certifications. I've been through a couple. I didn't even last through them because a lot of it's redundant. A lot of it's just taking stuff from YouTube and a book, and all that stuff I've already covered. And I've also done this for 5 years, tack on another 10 years as a teacher at various levels, right? And now you got the life experience and the varied amount of people to be reasonable, compassionate, but also understanding that everyone doesn't see the world the way I do. That's the biggest one to overcome. The problem when you go to one of these textbook type coach certifications, and I'm not saying they're all bad. People I've known, they go to these certifications and they come out and all they want to tell me about is attachment theory. And they start, well, Mac, I've been watching you. You're probably attachment such and such. We haven't even had a conversation about my personal life or my relationships. I'm going to guess you're probably this. So now you've come out of a certification with a textbook term, and now you can verify all these attachments. Now you can give these people what I would call, I think 3 of the options are negative labels, right? And if you apply a negative label to a gullible or sensitive person or just a person that's insecure, you've really just hurt them pretty bad a lot of times. Because now if they have respect for you or they look up to you or you're, certified coach, which these programs, let's be honest, right? Let's be honest. A lot of these programs are crap, right? And they just video everything. It's just scaled knowledge. That's all. The reality, you know how I learned how to do what I do really well? Taking clients on, giving advice, asking good questions. You know what I've come to the realization? There's no one size fits all. Okay? So when people come up, oh, I've learned attachment theory. Let me share it with you. Now you're just imposing a theory, which means it's not true. It's just an educated guess of how people matriculate with words, with labels. Okay? You can use it. I'm fine. If someone used it and explained it to me, I'll sit there and listen. But this is what you got out of your certification, so now you can be official. Or the classic, now that they're certified, they're looking for narcissistic traits. Wow, that makes you sound really smart, right? Listen to the people's problems. Ask them questions that they're not seeing the answers to. They're not seeing the pattern. Now, you really want to get deep? You want to learn something? What's the process? What's the process that you're going through to get to the problem? That's the sweet meat, okay? That's the sweet spot. You start getting into people's processes. Now you can work with them. If you go, oh, your attachment theory, this, now I know. It's like, oh, now I know. And then all the people start doing is start labeling everyone they know as an attachment. Okay? I don't know if that's helpful. All right, let me get into the chat a little bit here. Infomercial selling encyclopedia. I don't even think encyclopedias can be sold after Wikipedia. I think I saw that guy on YouTube retro thing. Pre-internet, people had hardly any options for info like that. Had to go to libraries or whatever. Still, there are 1,000 scholarships offered by U.S. government. Just U.S. citizens don't know about them. Exactly. And I'm just saying, it's just being resourceful, right? The best stories in America are about some immigrants that came over with zero. They had no shoes. They had nothing. What? They just had resourcefulness, hopefulness, and a dream. David is cool. You can join the army until you turn 42, but hardly people do it. Really? In Austria or in America? I have no idea if that's true or not. I thought the age was probably lower, but maybe they changed it. 1 year. What kind of snakes? Pythons? There's pythons here. There's cobras. I noticed when a guy can't seduce a woman, he is claiming a woman has exactly, Sabina. That's the problem. That doesn't, she's an avoid. I've had people tell me that, well, she's an avoidant attachment. They've studied all these things, right? And they don't, and it's, what is it? What is it? I mean, if you tell me the problems that make them a avoidant attachment, I think we can make more progress on your situation than just going, oh yeah, that's who they are. It's lazy thinking. Cobras. Yeah, we have cobras. There's all kinds of snakes here. My point is, are you really that scared of the snakes, or you just don't want to go on a hike? You don't want to get outside. I believe you, Sabina. Okay. I guess I'm out because I just turned 42 this month. I don't got a chance. Dad was in Vietnam. He was like, never. I don't want you ever going to the military. I've met a lot of people over the years that say it was a great thing for them. So different strokes for different folks. I'm just saying, when we get resourceful, when we start looking at ourselves and our problems in a controlled manner, there's options. How do you know this, Sabina? Has anyone on the live stream heard of the hero's journey before I mention this? Because it's pretty interesting when you dive a little deeper on the hero's journey with Joseph Campbell, who wrote the book, The Hero's Journey. Basically what he's claiming, like a theory, is that he was very into archetypes, like Carl Jung. And he was saying this is a theme in stories since the beginning of time. This call to adventure, then there's a problem, then there's more problems, then you have to run away from the problem, then you have a mentor or a priest in some cases, or an elder or a shaman that helps you out along the way, and then you get to the point where you're facing death, where you're facing the worst part of this problem, and you got to make a move. Like I said, this is that scene in every movie where the guy's going to jump in the waterfall or die. Clear and Present Danger had it. Apocalypto has it. How many times you guys jump in waterfalls? Or the classic gun to the head, right? You don't really need to read the book. If you look at the, like I just presented that earlier, I'm sorry, I'll add to the stream. They have different versions of this, unknown, known, and unknown. So basically, you're doing this circle and then you're coming back home, or you're coming back to reality, but you're changed, right? But at the bottom here is when you're rebirth, your resurrection. It's the same story, same kind of story they use in a lot of religions as a storyline, and it's very attractive. So let me just go through the stages really quick. Number 1, ordinary world. This is where the hero exists before his present story begins. Oblivious of the adventure to come, it's a safe place. His everyday life, where we learn crucial details about our hero, his true nature, capabilities, and outlook on life. This anchors the hero as a human, just like you and me, and makes it easier for us to identify with him. Number 2, call to adventure. The hero's adventure begins when he receives a call to action, such as a direct threat to his safety, his family, his way of life, or to the peace of the community in which he lives. So that Will Smith movie, if you remember, where Will Smith goes broke and becomes a millionaire stock guy, Pursuit of Happiness. He starts out with a wife, a kid, then he loses his job, he loses his wife. Here's the call to adventure. Number 3, refusal of the call. Although the hero may be eager to accept the quest, at this stage he will have fears that need overcoming. So this is a lot of times in your breakup. I don't want to break up. I don't want to do this. I'm scared. Second thoughts or even deep personal doubts as to whether or not he is up to the challenge. When this happens, the hero will refuse the call and as a result may suffer somehow. The problem he faces may seem too much to handle, and the comfort of home far more attractive than the perilous road ahead. Number 4, meeting the mentor. At this crucial turning point where the hero desperately needs guidance, he meets a mentor figure who gives him something he needs, possibly a coach. He could be given an object of great importance, insight into the dilemma he faces, wise advice, practical training, or even self-confidence. Now, number 5, crossing the threshold. The hero is now ready to act upon his call to adventure and truly begin his quest, whether it be physical, spiritual, or emotional. He may go willingly or he may be pushed, but either way, he finally crosses the threshold between the world he is familiar with and that which he is not. Number 6, test, allies, enemies. Now finally out of the comfort zone, the hero is confronted with an even more difficult series of challenges that test him in a variety of ways, right? Approach to the innermost cave. The inmost cave may represent many things in the hero's story, such as an actual location in which he lies, a terrible danger or inner conflict, which up until now the hero has not yet faced. As the hero approaches the cave, he must make a final preparations before taking the final leap into the great unknown. Number 8 is the ordeal. The supreme ordeal may be a dangerous physical test or deep inner crisis that the hero must face in order to survive, or the world in which the hero lives to continue to exist. Reward. Seizing the sword. After defeating the enemy, surviving death, or finally overcoming his greatest personal challenge, which in this case for a breakup could be getting a really good looking girlfriend that treats him well and he's very happy with. That could be it. The ordeal could be going on bad dates, right? The road back. This is the stage of the hero's journey, represents the reverse echo of the call and adventure in which the hero had to cross the first threshold. Now he must return home with his reward, but this time the anticipation of danger is replaced with the acclaim and perhaps vindication, absolution, or even exoneration. So he left wherever he was at, scorned, hurt, scared, upset, and now he's arrived a new man, a new woman. And the resurrection, this is the climax in which the hero must have his final and most dangerous encounter with death. So you see this in movies all the time. Return with the elixir. This is the final stage of the hero's journey in which he returns home to his ordinary world, a changed man or woman. He will have grown as a person, learned many things, faced many terrible dangers, and even death. Now looks forward to the start of a new life. Now, saying all that stuff, right? Right? A lot of times this is what they did back in the day with tribes and villages when they have, oh, you're 16, 17, you need to go for a month, shoot a caribou or a deer and sit in a cave and pray and do all these things. You've seen it in the Vikings shows on Netflix, right? And so there's something to all this because it's very common in movies. It's very common in stories. And really, if you look at it, when you're in a bad relationship and you come out of it, really when you come out of it, you've gone through all those stages. You've gone through the stage of, and really I would say the resurrection part is probably changing your identity a bit, because you don't realize when you're with a partner for a long period of time, you're going to absorb some of their characteristics, even if you don't like it, or you're going to sacrifice some of who you are to please them or to accommodate them or to meet them halfway. Happens all the time. Oh, we moved to this city because she had a job or her family's there. Oh, I had to be a stay-at-home mom because he had a traveling job. People are always making sacrifices outside of what they really want for their partner, and being influenced by who their partner is, right? So, you know, for example, people that are very time-oriented, they like deadlines, they like to be on time, they like to know exactly when you're going to show up. People that marry those kind of people, even if they're not timely, in 2 or 3 years when they're dealing with their wives, they're there 10 minutes early because they just don't want to deal with the crap. And they're more uptight. All right. I know military. I'm sure I've read it. It's been a while. What are we talking about? What's up? War was a great thing for me, even if it sounds strange, but mostly that's for people who get wars. What war were you in? Well, thank you, Petty Betty. I appreciate that. I've read this before. There was a group of, I forgot which war it was. I think it was the Serbian War. And they were interviewing some people afterwards. Okay, Sebastian Junger, who was a war reporter, and he's written quite a few books. He actually, I wish I had that name of the book. This is him. I think it might have been Bosnia, Sabina, actually. Do you know who Sebastian Junger is? You might be right. And he said he was interviewing some people about the post-war, and they were saying it was one of the best times of their life because people came together. People supported each other, and there was a great unified purpose. He's interviewed on Joe Rogan about this. Very interesting guy. And Tribe by him is a great small read. But yeah, he was saying that the woman said during that time everyone was unified. Everyone had a common cause. Everyone was working towards the same thing, even though we were facing death. Very interesting perspective. Wow, 4 on deck today with the usual suspects. Does any one of you, because this seems like we got our usuals here. Does any one of you want to do a hypnosis on a live stream or go into a deep EFT life review? These are some things I do privately with clients. The EFT one, it's a really nice thing to just clean up some crap from your past. I've talked about this before, where I sit with you for about 2.5 to 3 hours, depending on how much crap you have in your life. And actually, I've done this with, he wouldn't mind me saying probably, Brian Union's done it. once. And you go through 0 to 5, 5 to 10, 10 to 15, and you talk about significant moments that you remember that were moments that were bad or that are still triggering you or that you let go of, but you kind of remember them as not being good. I'm not going to do that right now, but I'm just wondering if any of you are interested in doing that. Then we go through each moment and we talk about it. We'll see if we can reframe it and reorient it so it's integrated back in to your subconscious so you're not so negative. And when you do this, you'll find out that you've held some things. Even what I find is like someone will mention something from 6 to 10 that after they talk about it now with me, sometimes they're like, oh, you know what? I don't like, now that I'm thinking about it, it isn't that big a deal. There was a client of mine that was like, my dad was an asshole. My dad was this, my dad was that. So let's get into it. And he hadn't really talked about it. He was in his 40s and he was like, I want to talk about it. And then as he went on and he went on and he went on, he's like, you know what? My dad wasn't that bad. I'm okay. It was just like he was holding some things, but it was, I needed to talk about, he had a couple things where like his dad like took his bike, didn't show up for dinner for a week, some things. And then after we brought him up, we did the EFT and the tapping. It's just like we cleaned that up. And you don't realize you have a little bits of information affecting you right now. I'm not going to drop a link now because I got to go in 5 minutes. I just was going to come on for a quick one today. B is away, but he'll be back on deck in the future. Austrian Alps. That sounds cool. Good for you. I can't imagine snow right now. It's pretty hot where I'm at. Very good. Multitasking. Pull this on. No, what I did was I was asking in the future if anyone would want to come on. Maybe I misworded that, Mary. Because that's what we're going to do down the line. I'm going to get some, we're going to do some more of these live. I just got this comment 11 minutes ago on my video, top 5 reasons to block your ex. People, probably one of the most popular video is blocking your ex. It's a really tough thing to wrap people around, huh? Thanks for sharing, Mac. I had to call it quits with LDR, long distance relationship, girlfriend of 2 years. She didn't value me and took me for granted. It's been 18 months since I went no contact and blocked her on all platforms. I've stayed strong, worked on myself, and haven't unblocked her to give her a chance to play me for a fool. Bottom line is long distance relationships, if it's 2 years, if you go more than 2 years in a long distance relationship, that's a lifetime achievement award. It's difficult. And like I said, where are they living and where are you living? Do they have more options than you have options? That's the biggest one that people don't look at. If someone's moving to New York City and you live in Timbuktu, or they're going to college and you're not, they're going to have way more temptation and options. And guess what? People get lonely. I don't care. Oh, love prevails. I don't know. I haven't seen you for 2 months, hun. And the 7-Eleven clerk looks really cute. I went over and beyond to be there for her when she was going through one of the toughest times. I feel bad for having to move on, but one must maintain one's self-respect and self-worth. Absolutely. She'll have to deal with trying to figure out why I had to let her go and get her own closure. Doing what I had to do doesn't mean that I loved her less, just means I love myself more. Everyone has their own definition of what love is and how they create a narrative around love. I mean, love at its highest level is unconditional. That being said, if you're in a bad situation and you're sacrificing your happiness, like a long distance relationship, there's a lot of sacrifice involved. And it gets old. I've watched so many of your videos and of who they'd help me understand me much better, and now I know what I don't want in a partner. Thanks again, Matt. Keep doing what you do. So many. God bless you. Well, thank you kindly. Titled, I Am the Storm. That's appreciated. Love is a defined thing by individuals, and people don't realize that most of us are going around claiming love, but really we love parts of people. We love parts of people because there's parts of people you're like, one thing I don't like. And now someone will be like, well, you don't love them then. I don't know. And then you look at these really spiritual individuals. We're all connected with the quantum field, and love is the purest form of us. It's a pretty big thing to think about, right? But when people are in a relationship that's not working and creating a lot of ill feelings, that's not love. That's not love. And love can come and go too, right? It's defined by the individual. Yesterday, one guy killed his best friend on the street, then killed himself. Family says it's because of a woman or wife of one of them. We don't have those shootings on the street here. But you do sometimes. Yeah, love and marriage and those things are a crazy thing. I've never dealt with having a girlfriend that openly cheated on me, or I found out was with someone else. I've had suspicions a couple times. I haven't had hard evidence. And when I had suspicions on one of them, I cut ties. Not just because of that, but some other things. But I can't imagine the feeling as a man. And I'm not saying I would do what this guy would do, Sabina. Especially now at this point in my life where I have more resources. When I say resources, I'm talking about mental resources. But having a situation where you walk in on someone with someone else, or they just flat out leave you for someone in your neighborhood or your best friend, that's tough, man. That's tough. That is really tough. And there's a lot of people that's happened to. And there's nothing that can just stop that wound. This is what stuff like that is where people go into like a Buddhist temple, or Wat, as we call them here in Thailand, and just go for a year, shaved head, no shoes on, and just try to get back to baseline. Best friend had an affair with his wife. And that happens. Happens more than people know. And this is what happens to a lot of people. The interesting thing, men don't do this. This is just in my 5 years of work with individuals and breakups. Women always tell me, or not always, but most of the time, Sabina, I wish he never got caught, or why was he so stupid to get caught? But men, they never say that. They usually immediately transfer the energy towards the man that she's seeing. And they go to town on either verbally, this guy's crazy, or wanting to fight. What is your opinion on the common phrase used now, if he wanted to, he would? I was talking to my siblings about this today and am interested on your opinion. Can you elaborate in what context that is? Like, in what context is that, Sam? Rob said thing is that the guys were ex-football players, strongmen. I mean, whoever it is, that's just gut-wrenching heartbreak. When you see someone, literally, to me, for men, they have a lot more trouble with cheating, or because I believe when men are in a relationship and they feel they're with a loyal, honest woman, and they feel like she treats them really well, and they feel, dare I say, special, when a lot of times they're competing for attention from women. It's like getting hit in an intersection. And if they don't see it coming, the harshest moments in your life are also the best moments. Surprising moments mixed with drama amplify. Think about that for a minute. Public moments that are dramatic amplify. Right? So this is why if someone goes to Facebook and they smear you on Facebook with all these things, it amplifies it. Like, how many people saw this? Hopefully there's enough people out there to go, wow, people don't really care that much. I believe social media causes people to expect materials to acts of love to prove how one feels or where they stand in a relationship. Social media certainly pushes that agenda. I think just because it's ad based, even the people that are supposedly not selling something are selling something, as I put in rightmac.com, right? Normally people will say, for example, he didn't buy you flowers every day this week. Oh, if he wanted to, he would, girl, leave him. All right, so my answer to that is, number one, some guys, whether they're wearing some expensive brand name shoes or clothes, they just don't have a lot of extra money. Not all. That's just one idea, one response. Because this is like, oh, it's just men and women do this. No, it's not that simple, right? There might be a guy that he's, if he's on his own, living on his own, he might not have a lot of extra money. He might not value getting flowers. Now, the flower thing is interesting because I hear women all the time, oh, I never like flowers. Oh, I don't like this, right? Another thing is, some guys, if they're basing their relationship on a past relationship or their parents, maybe their parents never exchanged gifts. Mine didn't. My dad wouldn't bring my mom flowers home. My dad's not like an unresponsible dad or anything in that sense. I just didn't witness it. So that's not something I would do. So when someone assumes like that's what they should be doing because I saw it in a movie or I saw my friend get that, it's ignorance. You'd have to say, you know what? I really like getting flowers for my birthday. I shouldn't have to tell him. Well, if he's never seen someone get flowers before, it's not really common in his world. Or let's say his mom or his girlfriend was like, don't ever buy me flowers. Or he might be associating flowers with a death in the family because there was a bunch of flowers on grandma's funeral. See how there's so many different things to that? So it's a completely ignorant statement. And this is what happens. Women do this a lot. Not all, Sabina. But they do this thing where, like you said, he should know. Or he would if he wanted to. Maybe he just doesn't know. A lot of guys don't know. And so you're better, just like, all right, for example, if Sam Lujan was like, Mac, you know what? I really like the live streams and stuff. let me know during Christmas what you want. That would be better than you buying me some random Merry Christmas mug that costs $10. Wouldn't it be better to ask me what I want or what I'm interested in? Right? That's why I've talked seriously about this book, the 4-year sex contract, an alternative to marriage. If people want to be that way, then if you were able to be all clear with your expectations of your lover or your partner and contractually put it in there. And I'm not talking about like, oh, you could do this, but you'd be like, oh, you have to make this much money, or I'd like to get flowers on my birthday. There would be less of this. But guess what? If the individual wants to be right in a negative way. So for example, there's individuals out there that they want to bitch and moan. They want to complain. They want to make the negative thought true. If someone's like always bellying on how her boyfriend doesn't care about her, but they live together, and when you witness them being around each other, he seems like not an overly affectionate, kind guy, but he cares about her, right? It's not enough. She's got to figure out what enough is. But this idea that, he would if he wanted to, maybe he doesn't value those things. It's like, I haven't really read completely the 5 love languages, because it's another one of those things where there's not 5 love languages. It's just a great way to sell a book. Can it help you a little bit? Yeah, sure. It's not a bad one. I just don't want to live my life, because people do this in relationship. Oh, you know what their love language is? And then they start basing everything they do on this book when there's more nuance to the situation. Learn your partner. When I was a teacher, I used to tell students, learn your teacher. Learn your manager. They're the ones with the keys, man. They're the ones that have the power. So learn them. Think about that for a minute. When I'm a coach, I learn the individual client, so I don't treat them all the same. Someone's like, oh, that's not fair. No, it's actually very smart. Okay? It's emotional intelligence, because we're all wired differently and we're all packaged into this life experience thing. And a lot of times you assume people know more than they do. Client today I was just talking to, he's studying to be a dietitian in university. Very smart guy. Sometimes I ask him some questions, or we're just making small talk about something. And I asked him a few things about mitochondria and some other things. And he was like, I'm just surprised you don't know about this. And I was like, he goes, because you just know about so many of the things we talk about. And he started laughing. Right? The smartest person knows 10% of all knowledge. Right? That's why intelligence is based on the field that you're intelligent in. Real smarts comes from how fast you can learn something, which differs. Right? But going back to that, if someone's going to say, he would if he wanted to, it's not that. That puts in your head that he doesn't care, right? What he's saying is, I didn't know that you value that too much. Because some people can't understand, like, you value that? Think about the thing. Have you ever thought about this, Sam? Someone buys you a gift. This brings up one that I brought up a long time ago, and Rob will remember it probably. The lady was Canadian, actually. She bought the guy one of those, they're called suckles or something, where you can grow a plant in a glass jar. It was really weird. Have you ever heard of that? Be a suckle? Succubus? Like, you put plants in like a glass. B just walked in. And I said, and she's like, he didn't even say thank you. And he left it at her house. She was appalled. I was like, how much was it? She's like $35. And I know he's really into plants and things like that. The reality was, this dude was your classic. They had great intimacy. She really liked him. She was highly attracted to him, but he blew her off and was unavailable. And she couldn't put it together because she was pretty attractive. She had her own apartment. She made a lot of money, and she usually got what she wanted. So she was like, I bought him this special gift, and I don't buy gifts for guys most of the time. Okay. And then he went, oh, cool. He didn't even say thank you, and he left it at my house. Now, did he do that on purpose? No, he probably was just like, oh, thanks for the gift, but it just wasn't that valuable, right? You could send me the nicest thing. Yes, plant terrarium. That's what it's called. Plant terrarium. Yeah, suckle. I don't know where I got that from, but plant terrarium. And she was going on and on about this, like she couldn't believe he didn't say thank you, and he left it at her house. And she texted him like, "Hey, you left it here," and he's like, "Oh yeah, maybe I'll get it later." And he never called her back. He wasn't interested in her that much. He had some other plates he was spinning. He's talking to other women. She couldn't get over it. She couldn't get over it. And she thinks that, well, is there a possibility he didn't like plants as much as you thought? Or he just didn't think it was that cool a gift? Now, is that a jerk move? I would like to think I'd be thankful for it, but how thankful is enough? Her thing was, I never buy guys gifts. I never buy guys gifts. I did this. Does he know that? Maybe you should buy those gifts for other guys and see their reactions. I don't know. Maybe you were buying it because you were reaching. But people always do this. They just believe the world revolves around their thinking. And then they can't get on. Why don't you think like me? Why can't you appreciate a plant terrarium that I bought for you? I mean, that was one of the major points of the whole live coaching session again and again. I was like, huh? I'm going to be Asian ginger for Valentine's Day. I think sometimes people try to overanalyze and it ends up screwing up. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, YouTube's done that too, right? I'm on YouTube. Like, you can watch 15 channels. It isn't that deep. I've done that before too. I've had Christmas gifts that I've bought for relatives or something. I thought they were really going to like it. And they were just like, oh, thanks. You know what people most of the time, if people are capable this day and age with Amazon, they buy what they want if they're capable. So usually what you surprise someone with as an expensive gift is something you would like. Right? And you might be a gracious person. You might be a gracious person and you might thank them for that. This is years back, an ex-girlfriend of mine. I bought her an iMac Apple computer and she made me return it because she was like, she hates Apple. She didn't like it. And she goes, you're buying this for you. And I was like, no, I bought it for you. Actually, I thought I've never liked Apple. She was right. Like part of me was like, oh, this is cool. Like I'll be able to use it too. This is like years back. She was right. Thoughtful is different. If you're really good at thoughtful gifts, that's a different ballgame. That means you listen to people, you understand them, and you know the nuance about them. You remember that their favorite stone is jade, right? It's so easy to go think everyone likes diamonds. B came on for a late appearance here.
What's up, guys?
People were asking about you.
I'm here. So there are some people out there that will take a piece of jade over some diamonds.
You like that one?
I like that, yeah.
I'm not saying that, but you know what? I would. Have you ever wore diamonds?
No.
You should have seen his face right now. He's like, it's a great question.
Great question.
How about when you see someone with like a gaudy diamond necklace? Mm-hmm. What do you think when you see that? Are you like, oh, it's nice bling?
Sometimes, yeah. I mean, if it fits them, sure.
When it's giant, though? Doesn't matter to you.
If that's your personality that you like, sure.
But would you wear it? Like if you were...
No, I'm not somebody...
If you had a girl that was like...
Like a big piece of...
Yeah, like if she got you a big gold chain or a gold diamond crested watch, would you wear it?
No, I'd turn it in for that MacBook that...
Interesting personality. Good to be a capitalistic slave. Wow, that's a pretty harsh thing.
I think we're all that way.
Good to be a capitalistic slave. That was heavy, Sabina. Right on, man. Drop the hammer. Drop. It's like
man,
a gold
I just got
bar.
here.
A thoughtful gift, really, you need to know the person. You gotta really know the person and listen to them.
You gotta listen.
111, make a wish. Thanks, son. Yeah, thoughtful gifts are different for sure.
What's up, Mary?
I remember there was a ex-girlfriend of mine. Like, we just started dating, so we weren't together yet. And when we were talking, she talked about like loving mushroom soup with something else, just totally random. Yeah. So the next time I was at the store, I was like, "Oh yeah," and I like pointed in the thing. I said, "I got you something," and it was the mushroom soup or something like that. And she was like, "Really?"
So you got her like 4 cans of mushroom soup?
No, just one. It was just like an afterthought. I was like, "Really? You got me mushroom soup?" I said, "Of course, yeah." I listen.
Miso, I love miso. Miso soup. I love it.
All right, we got 8 on deck. Anyone have any closing questions? I do have to go soon. What, the mushroom soup? Is that what you're like, damn, Mac?
That's what I'm saying. You got her some cans of soup for her birthday, too?
No, it wasn't for her birthday. It's funny because if you listen in the beginning, too, about some of the things that they're like value, like high-end handbag. Now I'm thinking about it. I had an ex-girlfriend. She wasn't highly materialistic or how should I say, like a big spender or outrageous at all, but she liked like a nice brand name handbag, right? And I don't really value them that highly, so to me it was like, really, that's what you want? So she bought me, I forgot the name of this brand. It's a brand from Paris. And she had someone buy it from Paris, from the store. Yeah. And she always didn't like my wallet. I just had a basic wallet. And she was like, "You need a better wallet. You need a better, like it's not good to carry your money," and something like that. And so she got me this wallet that was, it's not good. It was like, it was
good to carry your money.
She just said it was like, yeah, she said it was just like, yeah, it was just a bad look. And it just made, and the wallet wasn't, I don't know, it was a leather wallet. It wasn't like it was some Velcro.
Falling apart.
No. But I just didn't value, But the thing is, she bought this wallet and it was lined in like this silk and the emblem for the company, this French company that's, what's the name of it?
We'll just call it Louis Vuitton for now.
No, it wasn't Louis Vuitton.
We'll just call it though, since you don't know.
And it was very fancy. It was probably like a $200 wallet.
But it was on par with like
that. Yeah, and so she's like, "Oh yeah, I had a friend's boyfriend that was going back to France to get it from the store and all that stuff." And here's the problem with it though. It was like this big. So I had trouble putting it in my fucking pocket. It was so big. Right? But I had to, and it was one of those things, she bought it for her. It was a brand she liked. She actually had an LV wallet that was like $600. And it was nice. Actually, that was a useful item. She didn't have 5 of them.
Petty Betty wants to know, do you still have the wallet?
You know what? I think I do. And it's full of dust somewhere. Like
somewhere
in the
back.
Yeah.
Or
because it wasn't that I wouldn't use the wallet. I appreciated it.
But it was almost, you couldn't use it because it was so big.
Right. And I actually, if you're going to do something name brand, then I would say a wallet's useful. Like my wallet right now is
quality's pretty high.
A name brand one also. But
me too. I got that Hurley.
Oh no, mine's YSL. It was a gift also. I wouldn't buy a YSL. Yves Saint Laurent. Yeah, probably was superstitious. So I took it, but like I said, it wasn't practical because it was like hanging out of my fucking jean pocket. I guess she didn't get measurements on it before she ordered it, but it was right. And ironically, because we have a lot of Americans on this channel, not everyone, but around the world, and B knows this, a lot of guys carry what I would call like man bags.
I was just gonna say like
and it's just awkward to us.
Fanny packs.
I used to call them fanny packs as a kid.
But they have like the shoulder ones.
Now they have full on like leather bags.
Do you know who's a big, like Joe Rogan loves them?
Man bags?
Yeah, the fanny packs. I think is what he wears.
I think fanny packs are different now that people wear them around their neck, where they used to wear them around their waist. I see guys wear them around their waist, or I mean their neck more, which looks cooler. But kind of makes me remember like when I was a little kid. Nerf, like my mom turned in like 2 from Nerf football, like turned in like 2 proofs of purchase, and we got like a free Nerf fanny pack that was so cheesy.
Like a neon green.
Yeah, it was just, it was Cheese Whiz for my turbo football.
Yeah.
But we got way off topic there as usual. What's up, Rita Rose Hubblesworth? Buenos Aires, that's definitely on my list. Are you Argentinian? I've actually had 2 coaching clients that live there. Very nice people. Priscilla Rodriguez, hello and welcome. I feel bad that men are pressured to pay and go into debt for engagement rings, but at the same time, I'm glad I don't got to worry about that because I'm not a man. At least you're being honest, right? There's a guy I just met recently that he's married over 20 years. They were actually renting my house for Airbnb, and they're world travelers. Like they've been to like 50 countries. Really nice guy. And he was like, my wife and I went to Costa Rica for their honeymoon, like in their early 20s. And he goes, we always talk about if we would have bought the condo in Costa Rica for the price of the honeymoon. And I was like, well, that's one of those hindsight.
Yeah.
I would say though, like look at the other things you could buy with the ring. Probably
you could probably make some investments.
Go Jade.
Go Jade.
Just say, you know what, I heard Jade's in for the next 20 years. Or
Coach Mac was saying Jade.
Yeah, or create some story. I actually, to be honest with you, when I see someone with like a ruby, have you ever seen a red ruby ring? Or like a real nice. Yeah, it looks beautiful to me. Like it stands out more than if someone has a gaudy diamond. I'm gonna be honest. I think it's like it's you're like trying so hard to let everyone know, and it's probably gets in the way on some things. Whereas if you have something that's fitted or nice, but like I said, a sapphire or a ruby, maybe I'm just setting things up so I don't have to buy a diamond ever, huh? So you can just create narratives. Someone else,
Emerald. There we go.
Emerald. Beautiful. Beautiful. It's like, you know what? I was talking to some other women. I've decided instead I'll get you a ruby. And there's zirconium crystals around the ruby. There's a big story on diamonds. Like, how is the value in diamonds created? They store a lot of them.
Set up by the company,
but they store a lot of them. Like they control the supply and demand.
Right. It's not flood. They don't flood the market.
Seinfeld had an episode on that Menbag Princess Diana ring. That's funny. I mean, I get it that it's, some woman's dream to have that, but I've met ones that do, and it's like, cool, nice ring. People don't care that much. Now, if it's a pink diamond, I've heard of those, right?
Yellow.
I think that's what was in a blood diamond.
Was that one? Yeah, I think it might have been.
So it was a pink one.
That's a good.
After watching that movie, I'll never buy diamonds. Just by the way, that's
where we're set. We're never buying it.
But I've seen Sapphire's a red one or Ruby's a red one. Yeah, there was a lady actually at a restaurant recently. I'm like, is that a ruby? That just looks nice. All right, next episode we'll do a ring review on different emeralds and stuff. Mary, go to Myrtle Beach for hot yoga as well. Wow, Mary doesn't do hot yoga.
They were talking about nude hot yoga.
Really? I haven't done that. I do regular hot yoga. I'm actually going to do hot yoga today.
I've never done nude.
It's funny because when I do hot yoga, I always wear, I don't even know if I can say it because that's a bad term.
What?
I shouldn't say it.
Well, now, what are you talking about?
It's a derogatory term. It's bad.
For something that you wear?
Yeah.
It's a derogatory term?
What do we call, what's funny is people in the UK call them vests. Undershirts.
Oh, white. Okay, I know what you're.
Go ahead, say it, B. Say it. I know it's on your mind.
Well,
go ahead, say it.
We used to call them wife beaters, but
I won't say it.
That's what we used to call them.
What a horrible nickname, huh? It's a horrible I don't want to say that, and I wear it.
Yeah.
And it's funny because you can wear just your shorts, right? Because it's fucking hot. But I sweat so much that I don't like it just dripping all over me. And men sweat more than women because I see some women come out of there, they're just like no shower, nothing. I'm sweating for like 25 minutes.
Is it hot yoga?
Yeah. Have you been to a hot one?
Yeah.
It's different, man.
That's the only one I've actually been to.
It's totally different. And different ones are hotter than others. But if you go through one of those,
I only did a few sessions, and I've never been more exhausted in my life.
People run different on it too. People sometimes they handle heat better than others. You know what I mean? Depends on their water and all that stuff. Petty's done hot yoga. Yeah, I've done hot yoga in Myrtle Beach and never nude yoga yet. Well, I bet it would be better that it was hot than cold. All right, got some things to do. We got 13 on deck. Thanks for showing up, folks. If you want to book a live coaching session or send in your story, go to writemac.com. If you have a situationship where you have something going on in a relationship, also send it in to writemac.com and I'll give you my take. Or if you have a bad date, please send it in so we can review it on the live stream. Let's get into some other things than breakups. Let's start transitioning into that. So if you have some other things, feel free to send it in. Situationship could just be, he keeps stonewalling me. This has been coming up a lot. Or, I don't know. What else, B?
I'm drawing a blank. I don't know.
I hate his pets.
Oh, we've talked about that.
The dog died.
Or any topics you guys want to talk about, throw them down there.
Rob, you do new hot yoga? I don't believe it. Take care. It's been good. It's been grand. Sam Luhan was first, and she shall be last. Okay, cop.
Night, guys.